a holiday, and normally the last election it wasn't a holiday, so people would probably taking the time accepting that it's an holiday to come later. But it is an ongoing process, and people are coming to the polls. I just want to encourage everybody to come out and exercise the democratic right and participate in the process and vote for the party that will continue to lead this country.
So far, I've had the opportunity to visit most of the polling places, and I am satisfied with our agents that we have eyes on every box. I know at a few of those polling places we've had the concerns to mention to GCOM staff about the positioning of some of the polling, some of the boxes, and they've adjusted them, for example, at Linden Foundation. But I am most impressed with the voter turnout. So far, this morning we had a good number at the polling places that I am responsible for. And I look forward to seeing more persons as we get by in the day. I know the campaign did well to get people energized to come out. We look forward to seeing more people also.
What has been your feedback? I know you've interacted with some voters at various places you would have went, but what has been the feedback from the voters?
In Linden so far, I've spoken to many of our senior persons them in the community. I'm very encouraged that that demographic has continued to show their commitment to the process of election. And I hope to see more of the younger generation coming out. I know they may wait till this afternoon. I want to encourage them to come out early. But so far, I've seen a good response from people, especially in the Milius Ward area, which is the largest constituency in the town. And they've so far explained to me that it's been good for them. We have some senior persons who they're concerned that they were at some of the polling places and have not seen their names, but we have agents and some of our activists who are working to get them seen.
From Linden, we move now to the west bank of Demerara. So there we have Kurt Campbell.
We are continuing to track polling day activities across District 3, Essequibo Islands, West Demerara, one of the larger regions in terms of population of the 10 regions across Guyana. This region has been broken up into 3 sub-districts. We began our live coverage here before the opening of polls at 6 a.m. this morning, and we have been able to cover a lot of ground along the west coast of Demerara. We went as far as Perica on the east bank of Essequibo, and now we are on the east bank of Demerara, all the way at Potentia. And we have been covering some notable developments in District 3 this morning. The voting by the presidential candidate of the incumbent People's Progressive Party Civic, President Dr. Irfan Ali, voted along with his wife at Lenora earlier today. The president's mother and father also voted at that location. And we have been following and paying a close eye on the voting trends and what's happening in terms of polling across this region. We've spoken to a lot of voters who reported that the process was generally smooth. The process was calm, and that atmosphere is continuing even right now in Potentia. Just to give you a full recap of our observations, I've made some notes here for you, and one is that the voting turnout in this district was very strong this morning, not in terms of long lines, but we did see steady showing of people at polling stations on the west coast and the east bank of Essequibo, and now on the east bank of Demerara. I must say, however, that we are past the noon timeline, just about 1:23 in the afternoon, and what we're noting is that activity at some polling stations, particularly this one at the Potentia Secondary School, have slowed since midday. Some persons are still trickling in and also coming out in short order, reporting to us that the process was generally smooth. All polling stations in this district, I can confirm now, we've spoken to some election officials earlier, opened promptly at 6 a.m. No reports of incidents in this district. We also got an opportunity to see several of the observer missions, both local and international, at work, and they also reporting on a very smooth and orderly process. We went as far as speaking with the head of the Commonwealth Observer Mission, who also reported for pre-polls, before the opening of polls, during polling this morning, that process running relatively smoothly, and observation missions will continue to monitor polling throughout today and even be involved in tabulation and the post-election season. As I said, no major issues reported. The atmosphere remains calm. I must say that even at polling stations, we noted security personnel, and they are there to ensure that no law and order is maintained and there are no incidents or disturbances. Particularly when President Dr. Irfan Ali voted earlier at Lenora, he commented on the security situation in Guyana, saying, first of all, that he is confident, he has reposed full confidence in the ability of the security forces to maintain this level of calm and peace that we've been enjoying all morning since the opening of polls. President Dr. Irfan Ali also commenting on the incident involving soldiers of the Ghana Defence Force yesterday, where they came under fire from persons shooting at them from the side of the Venezuelan border. Those soldiers were escorting Guyana Elections Commission officials and also ballot boxes and statutory documents. And we're standing out here. The weather, importantly, has held up for persons voting today. Sunny across Region 3, and I think altogether across the country. So there have been really a mixture of people coming out to these polls. We've seen old persons, we've seen young persons, but more importantly, and I keep commenting on this all day, is that we've seen what I keep saying is the spirit of the community, where persons are going to, whether it's hospitals, whether it's shelters, or just generally homes where persons are shut in and unable to come out to the polls, and using their personal vehicles, bringing them out to the polls to ensure that they participate in this process. President Irfan Ali, when he voted earlier, calling on persons to come out and also participate in their full numbers. And we witnessed moments ago Vice President Dr. Barjack Dio voting there in Region 4 and also calling on persons to come out and participate in this process. Today is in fact a holiday. Some persons are still at work, but generally the population is at home and mostly available to come and cast their votes. As I said, we've seen somewhat of the polling activity slowed. It's just afternoon, but we're expecting that it will pick up again later today, this evening, just before the close of polls. We'll continue to bring you live coverage of this region. Just over 116,000 persons registered to vote in 2020. We had just over 100,000 with a voter turnout after those polls showing that roughly around 70 to 72% of persons in this region voted. Those votes handed the PPP Civic a victory in this region, the People's Progressive Party Civic, in fact, winning this region, securing 2 seats from this region for the National Assembly, winning 65% of the votes. We'll have to keep a close eye on how the region votes this time around. I know people are generally upbeat about participating in the process and really knowing that their vote will go a long way in terms of how the results of these elections unfold once we get to the tabulation and then the declaration of the declaration of the results by the Guyana Elections Commission. So as I said, we'll continue to monitor the voting, polling day activities throughout District 3, Essequibo Islands, West Demerara, and we will continue to bring you those updates. I'm Kurt Campbell, live from Potentia.
Thank you, Kurt. This is the newsroom, and we're continuing to cover elections 2025. Just 4.5 hours, thereabouts, remain before the close of polls. Remember, voting ends at 6, but if persons are in the line at 6, they will be allowed to vote in these elections. From the West Bank, we head now to the east coast of Demerara, where Vishani Raghaber is at the village of Mahaika.
Good afternoon, viewers. We're coming to you live now from Mahaika Region 4. And where I'm at right now, it's the Mahaika Old Road. And behind me is a polling station for some residents of Mahaika. Now, this is virtually the end of Region 4. This is some of the most eastward villages and communities and areas in Region 4 because just beyond this is the bridge to head over into Region 5. And we've been traveling along the east coast of Demerara, reporting on how voting has unfolded throughout the day so far. Now we're at Mahaika before we head over to Region 5. Now with me, I have a resident of Mahaika, a resident of Helena, and he cast his vote earlier today. Tell me, well, show us your finger, but tell me, what was the process like voting?
Yeah, it was very good. It was easy, no problem. Everything goes smooth. Everybody go, they cast a vote, they come out. It was very, very easy, no problem. We don't have no problem, nothing. Everything is very good. And I like that because everybody cast a vote. Everything was very good.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have a message? It's about the middle of the day. Do you have a message for anyone who hasn't yet come out to vote?
Yeah. Come out, cast your vote. Whoever got to cast a vote, come out and cast your vote. And do the right. And when you finish cast your vote, you go home and relax and wait for your results.
Yeah.
No problem. We don't have no problem. Okay, we don't have a problem. You just go home, you don't cast a vote, you go home and you relax and wait for your result. If it's tonight, tomorrow morning, just wait.
There you just heard from, and what's your name, sir?
Steve.
There you just heard from Mr. Steve from Helena, Mahaika. He's one of the persons who voted here in Mahaika Region 4. Just to remind you that we're reporting from Mahaika Old Road, and we're just before the bridge to cross over to Region 5. So we're virtually at the end, at the eastward boundary of Region 4. And my colleagues would have been fanning out all across Region 4 and all across the country, all 10 administrative regions, bringing you live coverage of the voting unfolding here today, Elections Day 2025. Please continue to join us as we bring you more live coverage of the voting as it unfolds for the rest of the day.
As we have been reporting, there are a number of international and local observers checking on the voting process today. Among them, an 11-member observer group from the Commonwealth, appointed by the Commonwealth Secretary General. It is being led by the former Foreign Affairs Minister of Tonga in the Pacific.
So we've been hearing from voters all morning. We have an opportunity to hear from an international observer mission. Could you tell us about your observations so far being in the field for polling day?
Yes, thank you. So we started out early this morning in one of the polling stations, pre-polling at about 5:40 this morning just to observe. And then we were there at 6 o'clock when the polling station was open, and we observed steady flow of voters coming in to vote. The whole process has been very peaceful and very uneventful today.
Have you only been in District 3 or have you visited polling stations in other districts?
So we are covering 7 of the regions, and so we've got other observers observing in the other regions, and my team is covering Region 3 and 4.
What could we expect from your mission throughout today and even after the close of polls at 6?
So each of the observers will be sending in a report of their observations. Then we will look at it, and we will issue our interim report on the 3rd of September, and it'll be the basis for more thorough and more detailed reporting with recommendations that will come a few months later.
So pre-polling, polling, and we could expect you guys also observing tabulation.
It's observing tabulation as well as the post, because the Commonwealth looks at the whole election process.
Thank you so much. All the best today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Carter Center is also in Guyana again to observe these elections. Earlier in the day, Jason Carter, who's heading the observer mission here spoke with reporters.
Good morning. My name is Jason Carter. I'm the chair of the Carter Center, and I'm the leader of this Carter Center election observation mission here in Guyana. It's a great honor for us to be here to observe the Guyanese people as they select their leaders. And as we know, the Carter Center has been here for many, many elections in this country, and we are honored again to be here. This morning we sent observers into the polling stations in every single region. And this evening we'll have people in every single tabulation center for the next couple days. And so we feel excellent about our team that's come in. And of course there's a consortium of other international observers that are also here. So we've been coordinating with them as well, and we've had the opportunity to meet with the leadership of a number of the political parties and to be here. Although we have a limited mission, we've been here for some weeks to observe the pre-election process, and we'll be here through the tabulation process. So far, our observers have been well treated, and we are excited about this day. We're not going to draw any conclusions, of course, until after the day is over and then after the tabulation process is complete. We do plan to issue a preliminary statement on Wednesday, September 3rd, where we can reflect on the election day and the tabulation process through then, and then we'd issue a full report once we have a chance to really compile all of the information and observe the full process to its completion. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer some questions if anyone has any.
Any issues so far? Any reports of any issues at polling stations?
No, one of the things that's very important for all of us is that we want to make sure we are drawing conclusions based on evidence and not based on rumors. So when we hear things, we try to go see with our own eyes what's happening. So we have thus far only had limited reports even of good things, right? So we haven't had a chance to observe any rumors, but so far so good. It's 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning. So, but we expect that today will be a smooth process. And again, our goal is to observe the entire process and then make comments. But also the key to this day is to make sure that everybody in the country is making decisions and conclusions based on evidence and not just rumors.
How many observers Carter Center is fielding?
We have approximately 40 observers, and then coupled with the other international observers, that's a good number of observers. And again, we'll be in every single region, and we'll have all of the tabulation centers covered. And our observers are going to be moving around throughout the day in each of the regions so that we'll have good coverage, we think, throughout the country. And of course, if we hear rumors or reports, we have the opportunity to go and check out some of those potential issues.
In your pre-election report, you expressed concern about, not concern, but called on GCOM for it to detail the tabulation process. Are you satisfied with the explanation given by the Chief Elections Officer, Mr. Vishnu Prasad, detailing that process?
So look, at the end of the day, the law is the law, and the legal framework is provided by this country itself. And so we can make our commentary as it goes, but we've had a great relationship with GCOM. They've been open to us, and they have listened in a variety of contexts to the issues that we've identified, and we feel good that all of the parties are going to be present for the tabulation process. The parties understand well the rules. GCOM's staff understands well the rules, and so we believe that we have no reason to think it's not going to be a smooth process.
In today's elections, President Irfan Ali is seeking a second term in office. He's now 45 years old and has completed his first 5-year term in office. Earlier, he voted with his wife, First Lady Arya Ali, at Lenora on the west coast of Demerara.
So it's early in the day, but as we had said in our message to our supporters, you know, we did everything to plan a fantastic campaign. We ran very positive campaign, a campaign based on track record, a campaign based on trust, commitment, one that was based on unity and our country moving forward together. Now, as we said, the final part of this journey, the victory, is for all our supporters to come out and ensure that they cast their vote, and I continue to encourage all of them to ensure that before the day is out, they come out in their numbers and cast their vote and seal this victory.
Confident about the victory?
Very much so, very much so. Very confident about the victory. You saw the campaign we ran, the numbers speak for themselves. But as I said, sealing the victory is important, and that requires all our supporters to come out and ensure that they seal the victory with their vote.
You think you can also have a majority in Parliament?
There was that incident last evening with the officers assisting in the transfer of those ballots with the boats and coming down the fire from the folks in Venezuela. How concerning is that? What updates can you share this morning?
So, you know, first of all, it is concerning. We have had the fire from the Venezuelan side a number of times in the last couple of months. So, of course, it's concerning. The security forces are on full alert. They have the strength and they're ready. They have the equipment, and we have to understand the threat of Venezuela. We have been speaking about this throughout the campaign, that Venezuela is a threat, and we have to look at every single connection to that threat, and the security forces are on top of it.
What plans do you have to beef up the capacity of the GDF and the police in that area of Guyana?
Well, without going into details, I can tell you that the Guyana Defense Force has beefed up its not only troop, but they are in a better position. We have invested a lot, as you know, in the military. So I'm confident with what they have on our borders and the systems they have in place.
And do you support the removal of Mr. Maduro with the assistance of the...
Well, we're not going to get into that today. Today is a beautiful day. We are voting for victory today.
But yourself and Prime Minister today will have endorsed the cooperation with the US.
I have made it very clear that Guyana, we support democracy. We will support anything to eliminate any threat to our security in terms of not only our sovereignty, we view our sovereignty very seriously, but also we live in a region that all of us must come together to fight transnational crime, to fight illicit drug trade, and we will support every effort to smash the illicit drug trade and transnational crime. We have to be part of every effort to tackle transnational crime. And wherever transnational crime is, whilst I've said this, we have always said consistently that this region must remain a zone of peace, and we will do everything to ensure that this region remains a zone of peace and support every effort to ensure that this region remains a zone of peace.
Do you plan to give better boats and better technology to the soldiers who patrol?
Shabral, I think you're behind time a bit. If you follow the investment we're making, I can't speak about the type of investment from a military perspective that we've been making, but I can tell you we've made serious investment in the military, and they're far better equipped as I speak to you now.
Mr. President, in the event that the election results should go your way and the other side display a certain type of behavior to create some level of unrest, because that is a concern that persons in the Caribbean have right now. What are your plans?
Listen, we have said very clearly that these elections must be peaceful, and we must all accept the will of the people. This is part of democracy, accepting the will of the people. And the security forces have said very clearly, very, very clearly, that should anyone step out of line, and step out of line in terms of the law, that they're prepared to deal with that. So I leave that in the hands of the security forces.
Mr. President, a picture of your executive finger.
Camera step back, microphones push back. So just have it through. Thank you. Thank you.
President Irfan Ali and his wife Ari Ali voting there at Granville, Lenora, West Coast, Demerara. Now, Region 4 is the country's largest electoral district. To ensure that there's efficiency with the tabulation after today's vote, electoral laws were passed in the National Assembly to split the district into 4. So Region 4 has 4 sub-districts, and the votes will be tabulated accordingly after the close of polls, and statements of polls are prepared for each polling station in the district. Here are some pictures earlier of voting in Region 4.
The process was fairly smooth because of the Geo Alpha split. You have A to F and then J to Z. It was quite good. I think it took me all about 7 minutes or thereabouts to get in and out, which I think is good. I trust that the rest of the day that GCOM will maintain this level of efficiency and that we'll have a very smooth process and that the will of the Guyanese people will be reflected in the results. I know that there's been a very heavy campaigning on all sides, but ultimately it comes down to what is in the best interest of the Guyanese people. What am I voting for? What did I put my X there for? What do I want? What do I want to see for my community in the first place? What do I want to see from my family? And I believe that really it is about the people of this country that matters.
We had one instance where someone came, an agent from, I think it's the AP, but they wanted the ballot to come outside. They asked the GCOM agent for the ballot to come outside, and we know that is not obviously permissible. So that was cleared up pretty quickly, but it's a very, very smooth process here at FE Pollard. Very, very smooth process, and the lines are moving very fast.
You're saying an agent
yes,
of the opposition or APNU, sorry, requested that the ballot?
Yes, they actually asked GCOM officer for it to come outside for the person to vote, and obviously they said no because that can't happen.
Is this in the case of somebody with disability? Is that it?
No, the person is in a wheelchair, yes, but you know what happens there. The person, they go inside. The person is very active. The person can go inside, and that actually happened right after the GCOM officer obviously objected. So it was smooth.
My name is Colin Haynes, and it was very good. It was very orderly, proceeded very well. The instructions are also very clear. As you can see, they have the voting process both inside and outside. So I think it was very good. All the processes were followed, all the protocols were followed, and it was very smooth.
It was good, actually. It was really good, quick, fast, and easy. Everybody looked like they know what they're doing, and well, to me, the first time I actually got a vote, because I didn't really grow up here, so glad to know that I can make a change in my own land and to do something different, which is really good, to see our country going forward, and it was really easy. Excited for me at first, and I really enjoyed it.
The voting process was quite smooth.
It was very smooth. I spoke to the polling agents inside. It's been very busy this morning, but it's been going very, very smoothly. We were in, and within about 5 to 8 minutes, we'd already voted.
Now, Region 3 is one of the country's largest electoral districts as well. It has been split into 3 for this year's elections. Here are some pictures from this morning's vote in Region 3.
My village area there's people there checking your number. I checked my number, it was on the list, so they sent me here. When I went here and they checked back, at the first door, they can't find the number. So I insist and tell them, my name is on the door that said I to Z. I went down there, as soon as they checked inside, my name was there. After that, everything went smooth. Yeah.
You are among early voters here today. What's the encouragement?
Oh, come out. Everyone come out. It went smooth and fast.
Smooth and fast.
Yeah.
What do you do for the rest of the day now that you've voted?
I just go home, relax, waiting on the result, and let's see what next.
You have people assisting you right there to go to which section you have to go, and everything was very calm. Everybody was respectable and no fussle.
Right. Why are you voting early today? You're among early voters.
Well, I have children, and you know, I'm waiting for you got to get line and park up when the day come and them things. So I decided to vote early.
What is your encouragement to other persons, and how would you like to see the voting process go for the rest of the day?
Peaceful. Let everybody be willing to make their choice. And we mustn't look about race, and we must look about the performance of every person who we're voting for. So, this is not about race or nothing. This is about coming and do your rights. Right? So I'm happy to come and vote.
Vice President Bara Jagdeo, who serves as General Secretary of the PPP, cast his ballot a short while ago. He did so at Plaisance on the east coast of Demerara near his home. We can bring you his comments after he completed voting.
It's a great day for Guyana. So far, from all I've been hearing, apart from the minor glitches, things are going extremely well across the country. We urge people to come out and vote. The PPP is very confident going into these elections, largely because of our track record and what we continue to offer to the people of this country. But elections are won on the basis of votes casted. And so I urge all the PPP supporters to make sure that you get out there and vote. So far, they've been coming out, and that they do so early. And so let's cement this victory.
Have you got any feedback as yet about the voter turnout thus far?
Internally, the party is tracking this, and it's good.
Dr. Jagdi, do you mind sharing what are some of the reports you have received from your party agents so far for the day?
There are several reports that are not unusual on polling day, and I do not want to elevate them to intractable problems. The other political parties and their leaders are magnifying minor issues, and so far all of those matters have been addressed promptly by GCOM whenever they come up or they're identified, and they're all across the country. From issues of the stamp not working and then they fix it, to other issues of the sloth in some polling places. These are normal things that happen around election day.
Have you received any reports of persons with disability having difficulty in trying to cast their vote?
So far, personally, no, but there may be cases. I can't say for sure that it has not happened, but so far I had no such report.
And from your recollection, is there any issue at the West Rumbelt School, I believe, that you've heard of?
No, not a particular issue. There was an issue in Sapphire when the leader of the opposition showed up there and was trying personally to rearrange the furniture in the polling place. GCOM addressed that matter, and we choose not to elevate it into anything major. But he should not have done that.
What's something that you've seen major improvements on since the last election?
Well, clearly now that everyone is equipped with a manual, the presiding officers, the polling agents, political parties, the candidates to the poll, which clearly outlines the roles and responsibilities of every actor in the electoral process. We have less room now for capricious action on the part of any actor, whether they're party agents or staff of GCOM. And we suffered a lot in 2020 because instructions were changed several times in the course of the day and during the evening and during the recount by the chief elections officer, the deputy chief elections officer, and Mr. Mengo, which led to a lot of confusion on election day.
And now that the campaigns are over, how do you feel about the work that has been put in? And also, how confident do you feel of the party's victory?
I'm very confident. I said this at the last rally we've had. We've put in the work. We have gone across the country. We've had a great feedback. So far, from what I see today, it's heading in one direction, which is a PPP victory. I've been assessing this since 4 in the morning. We're getting our agents out and everyone else. So it's largely because of what we mean to Guyana. And not because we're special, but because we have kept faith with the people of this country. When people are at home, even today, and they're making that decision to vote or for whom to vote, they clearly would do so conscious that they could be putting at risk their own prosperity and their own futures. And I think we have a lot of conscious voters in this country. And once you have conscious voters, the PPP will do well in that scenario.
What would you tell to young persons who are now voting for the first time?
Well, I say the same thing. Do not get carried away by, the short snippets on social media, because this is a social media generation, the new voters. And I urge them to think a little bit harder about their own futures and which political party offers the best choice for their prosperity at a personal level, whether it's education, healthcare, getting a job, owning a vehicle, owning a piece of land, and building a home. And I believe the PPP has outlined clearly a youth development plan that no other party can match in this country. Oh, this has been really, really phenomenal. If you go to our rallies, you see the energy at the rally. And a lot of that energy came from the youth, the young people associated with the party, young people of every race, every religion coming together. And it mirrors a bit of the work we did after the party's Congress, where we got together the largest youth movement in Guyana, a 15,000 strong youth movement of PYO members from all the regions of Guyana, made up of everybody, people of every race, etc. Because that's what the party is about.
Dr. I know that GCOM had issued strong warnings against vote buying, and this morning we saw reports of WIN activists in Providence within the security hub offering monies to persons. Is this something that you are concerned about?
I did not see that. I saw a lot of rumors that they were spreading about the PPP, and I choose not to ignore those today. Today, I got up this morning and I wanted to be entirely positive about the day and about the future. And so I'm not going to dignify those rumors with detailed comments. Just to say they are dangerous. We had warned about this. Even in the last rally, I said, over the next few days, you will be subjected to these rumors. They're designed to do two things: to mislead voters and to also prepare themselves, an excuse for themselves when they face impending defeat. But if there is a clear case where there is evidence of someone buying votes, then this is illegal. GCOM should take immediate action and call in the police on this matter. It should be done immediately. The intimidation will not work today, as we have seen across the country. The police have been doing a good job so far, and from all assurances we've been given, that the police and the army and everyone, they're ready, our security forces, to ensure people's lives and properties are protected and we have a peaceful election day.
The opposition rhetoric of intimidation we've been hearing over the past couple of weeks. What will you have to tell people about it?
People are not ignoring this. APNU has waged a campaign of intimidation, calling people's names. First, it's about the PPP, a whole negative campaign, going back into the distant past, resurrecting falsehoods from the past, focusing on racism. And then for the thousands of Afro-Ghanese who have supported the PPP, they chose, rather than to respect their choice, they chose to vilify them. And the other party WIN has led a campaign of deception and subterfuge. So they would never give you a straightforward answer on a straight question. It is always in circles and then using a social media platform that is curated, that excludes others from commenting on their pages. So people can't go there and interrogate their positions. And so this is what we have had to contend with. On the other hand, we've spoken heavily about what we have delivered. We have spoken about our plans for the future, and we have spoken about the capability of our leaders to deliver on that plan. And we have spoken overall about national unity, bringing our people together. 4 simple messages to the voters. Thank you.
Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagde, who's also General Secretary of the PPP, speaking there. Now we head to the village of Parima in Region 7, one of the most inaccessible villages in Guyana, inhabited by the Aracuna people, the only village where you can find the Aracuna people in all of Guyana. They're one of Guyana's 9 indigenous nations. To get to Parima, you take a direct flight from Ogle, or you can fly to Camarang and take a boat ride of several hours to get there. So just to get the elections material in had its own challenges. But what about voting today? We can now speak to Lee Williams, a longtime leader of the village of Parima, to find out how things went. Lee, thank you very much for joining us. Can you tell us how the voting went in Parima today, or if it's still ongoing?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Yes, the polling place opened at 6 direct, and we had a smooth process. The people turned out very early, and up to this time, people still on their way to the polling places. So far, the election process is smooth. No other challenges at this point in time.
Lee, can you tell us a little bit about your village?
Sure. Well, my village, Parima, is situated on the western side of the map to the border of Venezuela, and is the only Aracuna village in the whole of Guyana. And so we live in a unique village surrounded by mountains. We survive by farming, sustainable farming, and so we have a living. We do a farming for a living. And we also are into tourism, but because of our airstrip rehabilitation, we were unable to receive, but we have in the future still our clients still waiting. So very soon we should have our clients back on track in tourism.
And can you tell me what is the general attitude of people towards voting and elections in general?
Yes, we have a confidence in winning this election as a PPPC government based on our track record in Parima, where there was a lot of transformational progress in my village, particularly in different sectors: health, education, youth sports, and other infrastructure. So we are confident that we're gonna win this election.
And Lee, can you tell me about voting in the other villages in the Mazaruni? What the process was like today? Were there any incidents that you heard of?
No, I cannot comment much on that, but so far I'm seeing there's a process still ongoing, but I cannot comment much on that.
Okay, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you.
Lee Williams there speaking to us from the village of Parima, like you heard, very close to the Venezuelan border. Now, border communities are areas where the Ghana Elections Commission has installed polling stations, so in Region 7, like at Parima, and border regions like Etherington, which is closest to the Venezuelan border. There are also polling stations to the east as well, near the border with Suriname. This is the newsroom, and you're watching our live coverage of elections 2025.
progress. Teams are on the ground in 7 of the 10 regions. And so far since morning, we have been able to visit 342 polling stations. We're going to be continuing that effort, and we'll be visiting more polling stations as the day progresses. Our observations are that, by and large, things have been moving smoothly. All of the polling stations that we visited, with the exception of one, opened promptly on time, and that one had a difficulty because when they started out, they didn't have the screen for the polling compartment. But that was quickly corrected, and they got the polling station going. All of the required polling officials, the presiding officer, the assistant presiding officer, the poll clerk, the ballot clerk, all of them were in place. All the materials that were required, with the exception of the one I just mentioned, were in place. So generally, we were satisfied that the polling exercise started out, and up to the last visit that we made and the last report that we got, everything has been proceeding in an orderly fashion. I was particularly impressed. I myself visited 62 of those 342 polling stations since morning. And I was particularly impressed at how professional, how well trained the polling officials appeared to be. They knew what they were doing. They were not hesitant in applying the relevant rules and guidelines. And all told, things have been going well. There's one little discrepancy that we saw, and I'm not sure if I should call it a discrepancy. In some polling stations where we visited, the polling compartment, the screen, was fixed in such a way that it faced the wall, so that you couldn't see from outside how a voter voted. In some of the polling stations, we noticed that it was the opposite, where it was turned around. And when I inquired why that was so, I gather it was in relation to this effort to prevent voters from photographing their ballots. So it was put in such a way that the officials and the party agents would be able to see whether anybody was, fiddling with a smartphone. I don't blame that on the presiding officers. There seemed to have been some lack of clarity in the instructions that they were given. But certainly the instances that I observed, once a person went there with their back to everybody else, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to see how the person voted. So I believe that where that occurred, it was more out of an abundance of caution rather than any attempt to circumvent the process. At all of the polling stations that we visited, there were party agents in place. In most cases, at least 3, and in some cases more, so that the parties seem to have been quite vigilant in ensuring that they had, the ability to scrutinize the process. We did see some lines, not very long, but I would think in some of the cases that I visited, there perhaps would have been close to 20 persons in the line. But I didn't get the impression that any of them was growing impatient. They seemed to have been waiting patiently. And the process for getting them into the polling station, checking their ID cards, and allowing them to vote was moving smoothly. We're going to continue for the rest of the afternoon, looking at the polling station, just seeing whether things continue to proceed on that track. And then we are going to be present at a number of the tabulation centers this evening after the votes. Well, we're going to be witnessing at as many polling stations as we are able to cover the actual counting of votes and the preparation of the statements of poll. And then we will move to the tabulation centers, as many as we can cover, to watch the tabulation process. We don't know how long that will take. We don't know how far into the night that will go. But we're going to drink some black coffee and stay there as long as we need to, because we want to see this process through to completion. So all told, I think the people of Ghana deserve to be congratulated on the peaceful, disciplined way in which they have gone out to cast their ballots. I think certainly the polling officials who are representing GCOM also need to be congratulated on the very professional way in which they have been carrying out their duties. And I expect that the rest of the process will attract the same kind of discipline, orderliness, and professionalism. So thank you very much, and I ask you to continue to give good coverage to this important exercise in Ghana's democracy.
Sir, are you able to compare what the mission has observed so far with the conduct of the poll in 2020?
Very similar. When we were here in 2020, at this stage of the game, things were moving orderly. We saw the same professionalism. We saw the party agents on the job. We saw lines, but we saw discipline. The problems that we observed in 2020 didn't have anything to do with the actual conduct of the poll. It had to do with the tabulation exercise, and only in Region 4, because the tabulation exercise in the other 9 regions proceeded smoothly without any difficulty. Region 4 was where the problem was. I am hoping, and I would put it even stronger than that, I don't anticipate a recurrence of that problem. There have been some amendments to the regulations regarding the tabulation process, and I expect that the tabulation will proceed smoothly. And I hope that as soon as a declaration is made, it probably won't be made today, or maybe not until tomorrow, by the time all of the various regions have tabulated, I hope that it will be a result that the people of Guyana are satisfied, represents the true and free expression of the will of the people.
Sir, have you come across any problem with persons with disability getting access to some of these polling stations?
What we observed was that persons with disabilities were given priority. In other words, they didn't have to stay in a line. They were allowed to go straight up to the head of the line. What I think would have posed a problem, and I didn't actually see a person with disability in that situation, but at some of the locations that we went, where polling stations were on the upper floor, persons who were physically unable to climb stairs would have had to be lifted up, because there would not have been any other means for them to access the polling station. I think it's important, wherever possible, to avoid locating polling stations on an upper floor. If it is at all possible, keep those polling stations on the lower floor, because it is a real problem for disabled persons. But I didn't actually see anybody having that difficulty. What I did see was that persons in wheelchair. I saw one person in wheelchair, for example, who once they arrived, there was a supervisor outside who allowed them to go straight to the head of the line.
Are you able to comment so far on the fairness of the media coverage that your mission has observed?
It's difficult for me to do that. We have had specialists on the ground who have been observing the media. The media in Guyana, of course, there is state-owned media, and we have had complaints that state-owned media is bad towards the government. We have been told that some of the privately owned media have their own political alliances, and therefore they have been accused of not giving fair treatment to others. That's not something that I would want to make a pronouncement on now. when we prepare our report, and I have a full briefing from our specialists who have been on the road and who have been examining these things over the last few days, then we perhaps will comment more specifically.
Thank you.